brand new. And
So like more than shibok in Korean, this mixer.
I think that particular one is probably about chidok. I don't know what it is now, but I know they got that a while ago, and during that time, it was worth quite a money.
So when you compose, you get serious, and produce, you get serious with this stuff. Yeah. Wow. So that was great. Thank you so much for letting us, go peer into your, part of your work, which was, I know, a very, a stressful time when you get together with people to work like that, and to take the time to show us around and people you were working with. That was really great. So maybe so far, let's go back to the past. What you think you've done, for this part of the world, this music composing world? What have you done?
I think a lot of the times when I hear some 후배s come up to me and say, that I'm an influence on them musically, that just that makes me very, very happy. Because I know that I'm not the most talented person in the world, but I've heard that few times, and I'm just very surprised, and it's a very happy surprise when I hear that. And but as far as me, giving to the world, I think it would have to be some of the songs that I've written that kind of lasted till now. It's not just a song that's very popular for that moment, but it just lasted till now, and people are actually like remaking it, re-singing it, and using it as a like a template for some of the school music schools. Especially, I owe that all to the great singers that I was involved with. I mean, besides the song, I think more is because of the singers that because like a lot of student singers want to copy singers, and they need to do that at first, but they usually do that with like other artists, like American artists. But in order to have people like Anne or people like Park Jung-yeon, even Soyoung, and people actually copy that, and my song is a part of that. That just humbles me, and it's just a great thing to have. And I think maybe I can say I, participated in that and inputting into the world.
Oh, wow. Okay. So what about now in the future, in your vision? What do you
in the future, I want to do much bigger projects. Plus, just do the regular projects too. But as a company that I'm a member of, we want to do very big products that'll make big changes and big additions to the world in a great way. And so that's kind of like my goal. To work on bigger projects, like just not just inside of Korea.
Sure.
Yes.
Pretty much globally, internationally.
Yes, that would be wonderful. Yes.
And someone like you would be a great person, whereas you can collaborate also with a language.
That does have an advantage, I guess, with the language.
Speaking of language, how about your Korean? You've had to upkeep your Korean because you're working with many Korean K-pop stars. It's not the stars, it's the whole staff you have to work with.
Yes, definitely.
Right? With the composer, you have to work with
Korean,
engineers, everybody.
My Korean is actually, it used to be a lot worse, I think, because everybody tells me that. All the people that I went to school with in America, who I meet in Korea again, they're like telling me that I couldn't speak Korean well, and I still can't speak it well, but I get by, maybe because my 발음 is kind of okay, so I guess that kind of gets me by. But my parents has influenced me a lot in upkeeping the language, I think, and I spoke it at home a lot, so it's okay. I think my Korean's okay.
Well, let me ask you, because this work entails a lot of referring, references that you have to upkeep. So besides the work, the social aspect or upkeeping the relations of the network, now how are you doing this?
Number one, I think you have to be humble. Yeah, I think that is the key. But not just try to be humble and look humble, just really genuinely humble. And just say, I am, like everyone else, I'm nothing. And just kind of maintain a good relationship by being humble and by being honest. And also by upkeeping, I guess, like 연락해 them and never make a huge mistake where they just you cut bridges. And I think that's a key thing. I mean, even in business it's like that, but especially in the entertainment music field, it's like I'd say it's 99% relationships. Yeah.
Very much so,
Yeah.
because everybody would love to do this, but maybe some people aren't talented enough to do it, but, there'll be always someone that's going to be doing this, right? So it's pretty competitive too, I'm sure.
Oh, very competitive, yes.
Yeah. So if you can give any of us a little bit of tip of, let's say if they want to get into this composing and producing, what do you think that they have to start doing now, maybe training for?
I definitely think as a composer, you should definitely learn an instrument. Whether, I personally think a guitar or piano would be the best because you're able to play chords and not just melody, but definitely learn a language and do your homework. I mean, you got to be good at the instrument. Although I've seen people who don't play instrument and write great melodies. But as an overall musician, I think being able to play an instrument is great. And listen to a lot of music and be open to a lot of music. But as a singer, for instance, I think they need to, like I mentioned before, copy singers exactly. Like exactly where they sound exactly like them at first, until to the point where they just sound exactly like them, and then eventually you can get your own color. Right. But in order to do that, you have to copy, several singers. And what I mean by copy is like imitate them, like sing exactly like them.
I see.
As a singer, that's the advice that I would give. It's imperative. Otherwise, it would be impossible, I think, as an artist, as a singer. But I guess those two would be.
And one last question, and because there are many people, some of our viewers are probably interested in getting into this field, composing. Tell me some differences of working here in Korea and in the U.S., because you do this in both countries.
Yes. In the U.S., one of the things that is kind of interesting is in the business, in the music business, it's natural that you bring in a lawyer of both sides, and it's just natural to do that, and you should do that just to protect each other for the future. But in Korea, if you were to even mention a lawyer to someone that you're working with, they get very offended. They're like, "You don't trust me?" And they get very offended. So that's a tremendous difference between America and Korea. But there's that really Jung thing that Korea has, but I personally think those kind of situations should be taken care of like in a business matter where you don't have to have problems later. So I'm sure there's a lot of problems because of that later on when there is because people have a lot of 욕심, and then when things get big or something, that's when it gets problem, or when things are